Yo, what's up everybody and welcome to a review of the Temple of Focus. Recently Shipyard has announced just like 6 cards, 6 new structures as you can see here below. And today we will discuss a little bit the Temple of Focus you see just behind my face. So let's just without further ado continue on. So here it is, the Temple of Focus. Let's first discuss the card description. Let's take one. At the start of your turn, deconfuse and give 1 additional move to all friendly units in front. Deal 1 damage to itself when boosted unit reaches the enemy base. So that's a lot of text and a lot of things going on. Let's chuck that up in smaller pieces. The name Temple of Focus, 3 mana. It is an epic and well, it is fairly similar to other cards with 3 strength. For example, Fort of Emerald has 1 more strength and has no ability, so just have to compare the base stats line with that one. So is it worth to play Temple of Focus with 1 less strength and this ability? It's also a swarm, as you can see in the background. So first, what is going on? Well, you have at the start of your turn, just like any structure, it has deconfuse and give 1 additional move. Deconfuse and give 1 additional move to all friendly units in front. So the first part is deconfuse, so no confuse shenanigans. When this card buffs a unit, it will move left or right. So no backslash. Currently we do not see a lot of confuse meta, but well, there has been 2 new confuse cards been introduced in the last couple of months. And they have buffed its ability. Most likely the buffs are still too small to make any impact, but I guess when they introduce a new card that actually like counter the confuse mechanic, it will probably be still on their agenda when they want to buff the confuse mechanic even further. Alright, so that part is just neat, I guess. It's nice to deconfuse your own units and actually have 100% value of this card if there is units in front of it. Also give 1 additional move to all friendly units in front. So this starts before your own units move themselves. So they basically move 2 tiles if they survive. Also with abilities like Victors of the Melee will trigger even more, and etc, etc. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, does it compare with Forgotten Souls Herald's Hymn? Well, that's the big question. Herald's Hymn I don't see often anymore. The buff of Herald's Hymn is a bit too weak. And Forgotten Souls is just way more efficient for 3 mana. This is the same mana but doesn't have an immediate effect. Where Forgotten Souls immediately push your units forward. This structure gives your opponent a real fighting chance to destroy all the units in front of it. And we have a lot of chip meta currently going on with Bladestorm, Needle Blast, and well, Toxic Sacrifice, Hunter's Vengeance. All these cards will eat this card for breakfast. Maybe even see some Chilled Stone Dames if this card will ever become meta, since Chilled Stone Dames is just a counter of Temple of Focus. That will be interesting, but so far it isn't. And then something really interesting you see here, deal 1 damage to itself when boosted unit reaches the enemy base. So I guess when it reaches the enemy base, it's not the front of the base, but actually moves inside the base. So that's pretty interesting. That it also slowly destroys itself if it has enough value. I wonder if it actually happens, since if you boost a unit into your opponent's base, then he basically failed to destroy the first unit in the column. I think this card will definitely boost a lot of units just in front of it, because you're gonna use double bugs, Dreadfen Keepers, and etc. So I think those will all be placed on your side of the game board. So interesting to see if this will actually get some damage. So what I actually really like is that they are looking for ways to make structures temporary, like it destroys itself. I think that is very interesting, like Unstable Build does. I think structures in general have like infinite amount of value. And if you have an infinite amount of value out of a structure and you don't run execution, you basically lose. So that's a problem very apparent with True Shot Post, for example, where you just get infinite damage, whatever. Or Pillars of Doom. That's also a nice example, which just slowly chips you down, but doesn't directly influence the board state. Anyways, interesting to see that they are looking into ways to have structures destroy themselves. I wonder if they will introduce this with other structures as well, or with the new structures they will announce soon. So let's, I have some ratings going on here. So let's first start with the innovative. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It does something new, yeah, definitely. It puts a lot of text in front of it, so I don't think the deconfuse is something new. I wouldn't say it's super innovative. It feels even a bit awkward, as we said, like confuse isn't really meta, but maybe that might be the case in the future. But yeah, and moving units forward isn't that exciting as well. We got Emerald Towers that does the same. This is just with command ability with it. But what I do like with the innovative is that it deals damage to itself. So maybe I was debating about getting a 4 or a 5. But since it's not actually the ability I'm rating, so I just went to a 4. Does it fit in Stormbound faction, unit type, a rarity? Well, definitely the rarity, epic with so much text. That's also something like, do I enjoy having this card with so much text? I do think it's okay, give something new, but I'm always a bit scared for Yu-Gi-Oh cards where you just don't understand what's happening anymore. Still, with this one, it's still okay. But yeah, maybe the rating is slightly low. Definitely command is definitely swarm related. So probably maybe if I would revote it, maybe go for a 4 instead of a 3. And the card complexity I gave it 2. But maybe that might also be a 3 now. I'm talking about it a bit more. Because the ability is pretty segmented. So you will probably understand what's going on. But still it's a lot of text. And well, I don't really like that much text. Also with localization, more problems can occur and more confusion. Pun intended of this card, like the deconfuse will happen. So, enjoyable to play with. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I do think it's nice when it starts working. But I do think the indirect front forward movement is something your opponent can easily counter. So, in what kind of decks do I see this card being used? I think the Rush Swarm will still go for Forgotten Souls because it's direct, and you also use a unit in front, so that's front line you're gonna keep. This is more for a controlled Swarm deck, I guess. And so you have a lot of units on your own baseline. Queen of Hearts, for example, will feed this Temple of Focus for units that will move forward. But I think it will be a bit frustrating if your opponent has just a lot of clear and just ruins the ability of this card. So that's maybe I gave it a 3 out of 5. Like, you lose a lot of tempo by just playing this card. And I wonder if Swarm will be in a situation where the value... Well, if you have a win more situation, then obviously this is gonna work. But in a tense situation where it's back and forth, I wonder if this will... how many units this will trigger. So that's a 3. Enjoyable to play against, I gave it 5. I do think, well, the Confuse, it's all units in front, so you can still use Confuse. You just use a different kind of row. So I think that's good. That gives your opponent some flexibility, so it doesn't deconfuse all the units you are just confused. And just with the movement, you can focus on one row, or one column I mean, and then try to beat all those units. So this basically doesn't trigger anything. So this is a 5 out of 5. Gives your opponents plenty of opportunity to play against it. Balance for low levels, high levels. Well, it's very hard for me to predict. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think stats-wise, 3, just one -1 strength compared to Fort of Ebonrock is pretty decent. I don't think the deal X damage to itself, the deal 1 damage to itself after a unit reaches enemy base will be that impactful. So I don't think that makes it any unbalanced, like this structure always destroys itself very quickly. No, that's not going to be the case. The deconfuse is just fancy-pantsy, I guess. And the additional movement, I'm really curious to see Token, Swarm, Control, mid-range decks use this card, and I think it will be fun. So I'm happy with the 4, but I'm still doubtful that this card will be top tier. But let's wait and see what will happen. Leveling steps, I gave a 3 out of 5. Basically, is it logical, fun, consistent? Well, it just goes up with 1 strength, and that's maybe not the most fun, but it's very consistent and makes a lot of sense. Giving units 2 additional movement, that might be really insane, but it might also be super cool. So that will definitely be something I think they might experiment with, since moving a card 2 tiles gives you a lot of front and can make Swarm very dangerous, since you just have your first 2 rows of the battlefield, have a unit there, and then Hatsiki Day, you're in your opponent baseline. That would make this card amazing, and they gave themselves the flexibility to upgrade that card, or Temple Focus, to give 1 additional movement, like 2 additional move to offense units in front on level 3 and higher, or something like that, or level 4 and higher. Alright, let's go to the next one. Name fits unit type, communicates ability. Temple of Focus, I gave it a 4 out of 5. Well, Focus, well, that it deconfuses makes it a bit of sense, because your own units focus again, they focus to move forward. Yes, that looks pretty okay to me. The art, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I know there's a lot of people who do not like the new art style Shipyard's introducing. Well, sorry to hear them, sorry for them, but I don't think that's reasonable to think there'll always be one art style, and I do think they go in the line of the current art style and just trying to experiment a little bit. Also, I'm just a nerd for Egypt, and this is a pyramid, and that vibe with ancients is just something that tickles me. So that's an easy 5 out of 5. Overall feeling, I gave a 3. I'm really curious to see if this card will ever be used, but that's something I definitely hope it will be. Perhaps with the buff with 2 movement instead of 1 movement, this card will see a bit more play, especially in the Diamond and Platinum, where we have so much quicker meta, where just playing a card that doesn't do anything is already losing you the game. So that's something I'm a bit scared of. Yeah, maybe the overall feeling could have been a 4. I'm not sure why it's still a 3. I'm not sure. So that's basically my overall feelings for it. And thereby I want to close it up for now. Thanks for watching, hope you liked it, and don't forget to follow, like and share, comment on this video. And I will be back soon with another video with the other confirmed structures, and then we're gonna look into those as well. Anyways, thank you guys, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers!